Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, December 13th. So we have a very interesting dynamic playing out with the energies. Of course, we're still very much in the new moon energy that we just had reach its peak potency here last evening. And today, of course, we are moving into Mercury's retrograde. So, of course, that is adding a little bit of confusion, a little bit of a pause button to that very quick, very fiery, accelerating energy that we just got from the new moon in Sagittarius energy. And so today is definitely going to be a day where we feel out of balance. We feel out of whack. Something is missing. We have a little bit of fog, a little bit of confusion, a little bit of delusion, kind of blanketing our current reality and the perception of where it is that we would like to go from here. So to say that the energy is going to be a little bit wackadoodle is an understatement. And of course, with some of the aspects popping off here today, it is going to emphasize where it is that we're feeling sure, feeling certain, which many of us aren't, and where it is that the uncertainty is definitely the dominating feature. So with that being said, we do have the moon in Sagittarius energy going void, of course, at 1:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be locking into Capricorn energy at 10:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's say that this wasn't a new moon. Let's just say that this was a standard lunar phase. The transition from Sagittarius energy to Capricorn energy is always a hard one, mostly because we're flying high in the Sag energy. Our imaginations are wide open, creative energy is flowing, we are dreaming a bigger dream, we are pushing the boundaries of our comfort zone, but we're a little bit too big, too extra, too dramatic with what it is that we're trying to conjure up. And so when the moon shifts into Capricorn energy, of course, that is a cardinal earth energy. So it kind of sucks us out of the sky. It anchors us into this physical earth plane, and we become very aware of our physical bodies, of our physical circumstances, and where it is that maybe we bit off more than we could chew with some of those visions, some of those dreams. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to be Debbie Downers, although Negative Nancy and Debbie Downer do come out to play when the moon is in Capricorn energy. But what we will be doing is we're going to come up with a little bit of a structure, a little bit more logic, more planning, more strategy on how it is that we're going to bring some of these big ideas into fruition, into our physical realm. So it's almost as if we can't continue to live in imaginary land. Now we got to get logical, practical. We got to get in this physical realm. We have to put the blinders on. We have to think about the path, the plan, the strategy, the direction that we need to take in order to actually align with some of this fire energy that definitely got ignited under the new moon in Sag. So there is this shift that goes on. It does feel heavy and weighted. And, again, to add a little bit of an extra blanket to this wackadoodle energy, we, again, have Mercury going retrograde. So there are 10 different aspects taking place here today. 7 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon, while still very much in Sagittarius energy, going to square off, get into the boxing ring, fight it out with Neptune. So Neptune is in his place of power in this Pisces energy, really pushing us into our imaginations, into our dream sequences, if you will. Our intuition is high. We are trying to kind of download new intuitive insights, a new path, new plan, new vision on where it is that our heart, our soul is asking us to pursue a new path. This is a square though, so this highlights tension and conflict. And of course, the moon in this Sag energy just pushing us outside of our comfort zone. We may not feel well equipped or well prepared at this particular point to take any kind of action, to make any kind of moves, and therefore everything is kind of overwhelming. We are definitely sitting in an element of confusion, and the avoidance tendencies of Neptune being in this Pisces energy really doesn't want to deal with real life. We want to live in la la land. We want to be wearing those rose-colored glasses. We want to be a little bit delusional because the truth of the reality that we're currently sitting in right now is not pleasant, is not favorable. And so there is this element where, emotionally speaking, we're actually really trying hard to to avoid getting logical and practical and anchored and grounded in. We prefer to live in this very creative, very imaginative type of la la land. But of course, it's going to be very hard to do so because we have a lot of situations and circumstances knocking on our door, so to speak, that really need our undivided attention in the here and now. Again, this is the point in time where the moon is going to go void, of course. We do have quite a few aspects taking place while the moon is void. Just a reminder, when the moon is actually void, things are confusing, things aren't stable, things are very uncertain. We're really starting to pick things apart, kind of process things from a not so nice lens, if you will. And from that, we kind of get shook up. So 2:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to see Mercury go retrograde. There's a whole astro forecast that I put out for this event. I'm going to recommend that you go ahead, you take a listen to that. Download your December zodiac forecast if you want to know where this particular event is taking place in your life, and bust out your Sagittarius season e-guide and capture some of the conversations, some of the topics, some of the themes, some of the ideas, some of the narratives that are currently floating around in that mental plane, as these are going to be the major focuses over the course of this retrograde. The moon, well in Sag energy, but still very much void, of course, is going to make a semi-square, a little bit of a tension, a little bit of a conflict point with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, who's doing a deep dive inner shadow work in Scorpio energy, trying to figure out what it is that she actually wants in her life, what she's passionate about, what she truly desires for herself, who and what are going to be a part of the big picture vision, the big picture dream. But of course, in realizing all of that, we are also realizing where it is that some of the past pain, the past trauma, some of the fears, the doubts, the insecurities that we're still holding on to may actually prevent us from going after what it is that we want. We feel real and raw and vulnerable, but in that state, we're also feeling very exposed. There's this tendency to want to connect, to want to commit on new levels of intimacy, new levels of connection, but yet we're afraid of kind of bearing our souls to the wrong people, putting ourselves out there in the wrong ways, and of course going after the quote unquote wrong things. So we're definitely unpacking a lot with this Venus transit, and the moon interacting with Venus in this way is going to highlight for us where it is that we're not in alignment with our heart space, seeing the future path, the vision, the dream. That optimism, that confidence that we have been sitting in with the Sagittarius energy, it's dissipating. We're losing that stability. And now, because our heart space is telling us one thing, and this vision, this imagination, this creative energy is pushing us into a different direction, we're really conflicted on how it is that we're going to move forward, who it is that we're taking with us, and whether or not the vision and the dream is actually achievable with this particular, let's call it, emotional state that we're currently sitting in. The moon is then going to make a positive interaction with Uranus. So Uranus, again, the great awakener, likes to shake us up, likes to throw lightning bolts down from the levels of intellect, levels of inspiration, the higher levels of the divine script, if you will. And Uranus really likes to kind of throw us curveballs as well, because we get too fixated in a path, in a direction. We don't really see the possibilities outside of the tunnel vision in which many of us have. And so emotionally speaking, because the moon is involved and this is a positive interaction, there is going to be an aha moment, an epiphany, if you will, that comes out of that earlier tension, that earlier conflict with Venus. We're realizing where it is that we have a vision, have a dream, but where it is, again, our emotional state isn't really in alignment with that particular vision, with that hope, with that goal, with those current wishes. So Uranus is kind of swooping in to shake us up, to open up our mind, to send us a lightning bolt, to send us an aha moment, an epiphany, to see where change is actually possible, especially where our emotions are concerned. The sun, very much in this Sag energy, going to be making an interaction with Jupiter, who is still in his rulership, not only over this new moon in Sagittarius energy, but over Sagittarius season as its entirety. So of course, the sun is shining a bright light in Sag energy. There's a new truth, new perspective, new mission, new quest, new purpose. There's a new adventure. There is a new horizon opening up for us. And of course, Jupiter likes to magnify, turn the volume all the way up on whatever it is that we are focused on, whatever it is that we're thinking, whatever it is that we're feeling. But Jupiter is retrograde in Taurus energy. So there's a lot of inner reflection on where it is that we've learned some tough love life lessons, where it is that we've learned, where it is that we have to get out of our own way, where it is that we have to grow up, where it is that we have to integrate some of our past tough love life lessons into this present moment. We are going to be gifted soon with an opportunity to go out into the world and really start piecing together new paths, new directions, new opportunities for us to kind of grow. But there is a hesitation, there is a resistance because of the retrograde in Taurus energy. So although the sun is shining very brightly on where it is that we have to push the boundaries of our comfort zone, where it is that we have to go out into new foreign territory, really explore our options, the hesitancy, the resistance to making some of those changes in our physical realm is really what's holding us back. The moon then goes ahead, makes a positive interaction with Pluto. Pluto's the great transformer in this Capricorn energy. And of course, this means that the moon is nearing the final degrees, the final ending point before changing into a different sign. This means that there is a whole different mood, different attitude, different emotional state being kind of constructed for us to see where it is that we have to be building ourselves up, where we have to be flipping the scripts, where we have to be pushing ourselves to do better, to improve, to grow, to heal, to get out of the comfort zone area and really open ourselves up to new experiences. Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires in this Sagittarius energy as well. Again, key factor, key player in this new moon energy. We have Mars semi-squaring, creating a little bit of a tension, a little bit of a conflict point with Pluto. Okay, so this is intense for a couple of reasons. First of all, Mars in this Sag energy wants to take action, wants to make some big moves based off of our big ideas, the greater, grander picture, this dream that we're conjuring up. However, we do have some pause buttons being activated on our current movement moving forward by some other aspects. Now, Pluto, he is kind of coming in and showing us where it is that we're being blocked, where we're being restricted. And a lot of the times it's coming down to our programming, to our conditioning, to the lack of focus, to the lack of clarity. Now, this is going to kind of jolt us, if you will. We're going to kind of simmer, if you will, in our restlessness, in our anxiety or anticipation for making these big moves. But at the same time, we're a little bit frustrated, a little bit angered, a little bit agitated that we can't make the moves now. Again, there is a lot of back and forth movement here today, especially with Mercury now going retrograde, and therefore the vision, the path, the plan moving forward isn't as clear, and we definitely need that clarity before we engage the physical body and take action and make moves, which of course is Mars's strong point. So he's kind of being snuffed out right now. And because of that, we're kind of moving into that darker narrative. We are kind of frustrated. We are sitting in the funk of realizing where it is that we're essentially blocked from doing what it is that we, at this point, want to be doing. 10:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is when we lock into Capricorn energy. And we're going to sit in it for about 3 hours before we have any aspects take place. And around 1:39 p.m., again, Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have our first aspect involving the moon in Capricorn. And it's going to be a sextile, which is a great interaction with Saturn, who naturally rules over this Capricorn energy. So again, anytime that we're interacting with the ruler of the energy that the moon is currently in, there is a little bit more of an intensity there. Now, Saturn, he is the Lord of Karma. He does rule over roles and responsibilities, systems, structures, foundations, willpower, discipline. He's in this Pisces energy, which means that we have the new belief system that we need to put into action. We have the new vision that we have to start building upon. We have a new dream, if you will, that we have to start really planning, really strategizing on how we're going to bring the key cornerstone foundation that is needed into our reality. So the moon kind of interacting with Saturn in this way, yes, it's a little bit more, I'm going to say down to earth, a little bit more realistic, a little bit more, I'm going to say, challenged to think about how it is that we're going to move forward. Not challenged as in banging your head against a wall, but almost like, where am I being challenged? Where can I overcome? Where do I have an opportunity to grow, to flourish, to change the vibe, to change the mood, to change the attitude? We're almost rising to the occasion of being challenged. And it is a good mood and a good attitude to really get level-headed, to get really down to earth on what it is that we're trying to bring to life and where it is that we could essentially start taking some baby steps in the right path, in the right direction. The moon is going to interact with Uranus, though, and not the nicest way. And so instead of this clarity, instead of these puzzle pieces snapping together, somebody kind of, swipes the table. Some of those puzzle pieces are now on the floor. And we're really kind of confused. We don't really see the path forward. We don't see the starting point. We don't see the baby steps. That's okay. There is an element of confusion, of problem solving that needs to kind of take place before we're actually going to see those doors open in our mental plane and in our heart space to kind of provide a path and a direction for us to move forward upon. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in Capricorn energy trining. Beautiful interaction with Jupiter. Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, retrograde in this Taurus energy. This is Earth on Earth. This is what gives us our trine. And a trine means that there's a gentle nudge in the right direction, that there is a little bit of growth, there is a little bit of problem solving, there is a little bit of resolution to some of the confusion, to some of the funk that we've been sitting in. Now, this is a great energy because it means that we're in a positive mood and attitude. Again, rising to the challenge, rising to the occasion. We're not feeling suffocated by it. We're actually feeling encouraged that we have something on our mind, on our plate, if you will, that we want to overcome. And so, the positivity that comes from Jupiter, the, let's call it confidence that comes from Jupiter, the ability to see hardships as an opportunity for growth and healing is the name of the game with this particular interaction. And it's definitely putting us in the right narrative, the right perspective, the right emotional state to see how it is that we have the opportunity to boss up, make some changes, and put ourselves in a better situation, a better circumstance than some of the situations and circumstances that we're currently sitting in.